we're going to do this video of showing you how to assemble, some troubleshooting, and some adjustment for operation of the AR HD rig. First, we're going to start by assembling the cart. You'll take one of your axles, which is 5/8 axle, slide it into the inside of the cart, and two spacers. Slide both spacers on. Take one of your wheels. The hub is slightly off-centered, so you want to put the flush side toward the cart. Then you'll tighten this up using either a 15/16 wrench or adjustable. You just don't want to have any wobble in the wheel. Repeat that for all four corners. Next, we're going to apply the weight pegs. There's a hole on each side of the center bar. Stick your bolt in from the bottom. Tighten that up. And this can be hand tight. We can do the same on both sides. Recommend for normal operation to put a 25 and a 10 pound on each peg for a total of 70 pounds. Those are 1-inch bore regular weight plates. Alright, so this is the brake, and I'm going to show you how to install that. Alright, so you line your brake up with the two holes on the back side. Put one bolt through. Second. And you're going to use a flat washer and a lock washer. I am going to put those on the bottom side. Once you get both bolts in there, hand tight, then you're going to want to set your brake to where it is touching the wheel here. If you let that off just a little bit and then slide it forward, just to adjust the tension on that. And you're going to tighten those up, 7/16 wrench. And you want that to where it actually locks and pushes against the wheel good, to where you have a good solid brake. Okay, now that we got our cart all put together with the brake and the wheels, we're going to go ahead and apply our first section of mast. Line the base plate up, 4 holes in the cart. a flat washer and a bolt through each one of those bolts. And you've got a flat washer, lock washer, and nut for each one of those bolts. Put those on the bottom. Tighten those up with a 7/16 wrench. Each leg has a bolt and a wing nut. Pull that out. Line it up with the leg. Back on. And now for manual rigs only, has a pulley. That pulley slides onto the front center leg. And that's for manual operation rigs only. Okay, so next you'll take your middle section of the mast, the one with the holes in the sides of it, and it's typically got the 2 warning labels on it as well. What you're going to do is take the peg on the peg of it. We'll remove the Allen screws, the 5/32 Allen wrench. There's 4 of them in this. And you've got your top section with the pulley on it. What you're going to do is you're going to line up the 2 dots on the back of the center section with the 2 dots on the back of the top section. Slide those together. And then you're going to reinsert those screws, tying these 2 parts together. Alright, now that we got the 2 sections put together, we're going to unbundle the rope at the end of the top section. It's held together with a zip tie here. And you want to make sure that the rope is going over the top of the pulley. You don't want to get it off to the side. That'll complicate things when you go to apply it. Stand that up. Take your bottom section. Before you put your mast on, you want to make sure that you put your carriage over the top of the mast. Now you're going to do it with the peg facing toward the pool, which will be on the same side as the pulley if you're for your manual rig, and the front leg of the cart. screws out of this peg. Sure that your rope is over the top of the pulley. Lift this up, and you'll match the one yellow dot on the bottom section with the one yellow dot on the middle section. Slide that on, and put your hex screws back in. On your rope, you'll find the carabiner, and the carabiner clips right into this loop on the back of the carriage. So you can move the carriage. Alright, so we got our cross support tube. It's got spring clips in it, so you're going to slide that through the holes here on the back of the mast carriage. Slide it through, squeeze the spring clip. Where it is on the back side of the mast, through both holes, you should have a spring clip on each side. You're going to want to remove the bolt out of the front of the carriage. Keep that handy. And you're going to take boom section 1. That'll be the one that'll have all of your strings and everything on it. You want to make sure you keep those bundled up until you get the whole boom put together. You're going to slide this onto the peg with the carriage. Lining it up between the two tabs at the top, and then reinsert that bolt. Wing nut back on the other side. And that's mast section number 1. Then for mast section number 2, that'll have the cables hanging off of it. Keep those bundled up for right now. You're going to remove this first bolt that has a wing nut on it. And it has a washer on each side. You're going to slide section 2 onto section 1. These black stickers should basically be touching. Those on, set up, and then reinsert that bolt. And a washer and wing nut. Make sure that your wing nuts are on the back side. You don't want them hanging out to the front. That will get in the way of the strings. Boom section number 3 will be the same sort of setup. You'll remove the screw from the end. Slide the section on. Same thing with the black stickers. Back on the back. Okay, so before you don't want to unbundle any of your strings yet, and you don't want to put your cables on yet because those could get in the way of putting this string on here. So whether it's a manual or a motorized rig, this step will be the same. The only difference will be the motorized will not have this bundle here. Instead, this bundle will actually be on the boom carriage. So you're going to unhook this bundle here. And you'll unroll this. Trying not to get it tangled. And you'll put that into the clips on the top of the boom. Just the top string, so your bottom string will be loose. And we'll stretch that all the way down to the end where we will attach it to the pulley at the end. Alright, so at the end of the boom, this will be boom section number 3 with the pulleys at the very end. You'll want to remove the wing nut, and with that string, the loop of that string, make sure that it is straight where you have your bottom line and your top line separate here. You'll pull the bolt out. You'll put the pulley on the string and reinsert it into the pulley housing. You want to make sure you put your bolt in from the top side, pointing down, where your wing nut is on the bottom side. And you don't want to over tighten that. You want to make sure that the pulley still moves freely. Alright, so now we are going to put 2 spreader bars, one on each side, screws onto this peg right here at the joint between boom section 1 and section number 2. And then we are going to cut the zip ties on your guide wires. You're going to want to straighten them out. You want to find right here in between here, you'll go 1 cable on each side of the boom. You'll have to pull one of them through. And you'll stretch this cable all the way to the crossbar on the mast carriage. So you insert it through the hole. Put your wing nut on. You can leave that loose for right now. You do the same thing on this side. Alright. On your spreader bars, there's 2 screws on the end of it. You turn that screw to where the slot is going in the direction of the boom. Put your cable right in that slot on each side. Then you'll come back to the back side and adjust your cables, tension on each side. You can look straight along the boom and make sure that your boom is holding straight. You don't want to over tighten, just want it to be taut enough to where it is keeping the boom from swaying side to side. Okay, when it comes to the strings here, only main difference between the motorized and the manual is the motorized will not have this bundle here. This bundle instead will be wrapped around these two pegs here. We'll always have a label on it saying whether it's preset or motorized when you order a motor. This one here is our manual rig. So what we're going to do with this one, this again will only apply to the manual rig, is we will cut the black string here, zip tie. This will get unraveled. And you can discard these or save them. These are on here mainly just for shipping. We do get asked that question quite a bit. So you're going to take your string here and your pulley that you put on the center leg. And just like we did on the end of the boom, pull the pulley out. Put it around one side of the string, and run it back down through the pulley housing. Put your wing nut back on. And what that's going to do is whenever this is all the way up, it will help keep tension and keep your strings from getting tangled. Next, we're going to unhook your yellow strings. Your yellow strings are used to raise and lower the toy. As the boom carriage goes in and out. So we'll unravel those. You'll notice there is a black cord lock against the boom carriage. And then there's also one in the center of the yellow strings. Find the center one here. We're going to pull just to make the boom carriage go out. And the clip that is on the drive line, clip right where that cord lock is. Okay, so just to show a couple of the functions and adjustments on the rig. So we have two different length strings. We have your regular AR strings, which are the longer ones, and the HydroDash strings, which are the much shorter ones. Typically when you're running it, you're going to want to use these bottom rings to clip your HydroDash, and you'll use the upper rings for your Air Retrieve. So the upper clips, that is what's going to raise and lower your strings when you bring the carriage back in or out. So what you'll do is you'll clip your strings. You always want to use the small lanyard clips that are on the strings. That's more of a safety issue, so that if a dog was to bite the string when jumping, it doesn't pull your whole boom down into the water. It'll actually break off before that happens. But they are solid enough to where your toy will come dislodged before that happens. So you'll put those on the upper. Right now I have this midway of the boom. The cord lock that is on the yellow cord going into the boom carriage, that is your adjustment on how far your strings let down when you bring it in. So when this is all the way out, it'll bring your toy all the way up, and when you bring it back in, it will lower the toy as it comes. Typically, the rig is up about 12 feet, So to be able to reach it, you're going to want it to drop down about 4 to 5 feet. That's including your actual string length. You'll adjust that once you get it raised all the way up, and ride it back to your dock to where you can adjust the height of your toy off of the dock platform. So it'll be 2 foot off of your dock platform or 4 foot off the water. Adjust this to where it drops down about 5 feet, roughly. And you can always play with that to adjust the distance of how it's dropping down. And your clip here in the center. Your clip that's on the drive line in the center, you can adjust that as well if needed. And like I said, all that's really doing is keeping these strings from sagging down into the water whenever you retract it. Now when you're doing HydroDash and you're hooked to the lower strings, or lower loop, you will move this, you'll keep the cord lock all the way tight, keep those upper rings out of the way. Alright. Okay, so I've got it adjusted to where it's going to drop the toy 5 feet or so. And I did that by just moving the cord lock from this position all the way down to about here. And then I moved this cord lock here. I just want that center between the drop position and the tensioner itself. And that's where I attach the clip. This cord lock is mainly as just a placeholder, so that when you're switching back and forth from HydroDash to AR, you kind of know where that clip needs to stay. So that stays there. I've hooked the toy on and roughly adjusted it. So I'm going to raise the boom all the way up. Now hook that on the hook on the back of the mast. So I have my 2 lines here. The one closest to the toy is what is going to bring it back, and the one closest to the mast is what is going to take it out. So if I pull that back, the toy drops as it comes in. Now it is at the level to where I can change out the toy. And then I can go back up to the next jump. So during an entire event, you shouldn't have to raise or lower the boom at all. You should be able to stay up there. The only real time you're going to be raising and lowering that is when you're not using it, and you're putting away storing it after an event, or whenever you're switching for HydroDash. And switching from HydroDash, you just lower it down and set it with a pin. Disable the lowering function by moving the cord lock out.